I think really James and I were the only people in our high school, and it's a pretty big high school, that kind of were into the music stuff at all. So when we had the math class together, we kind of just linked up, and it was like, hey, like, you do music stuff, and we ended up hanging out, and the first day we hung out, like, we just knocked out a song and kind of, I don't know, I think we were both just super excited about it. So did that a few times. We got our first gig like as fast as we could. I think we were both just so excited about it, like, oh, like doing music together, and we needed a drummer, so he was like, I know this kid that plays in the band, so we called Jamie, and believe it or not, he was super timid at first. Like I think the first time we met was actually at our first show.
They called me up one day, and I picked up the phone. I was 15 at the time, and I was like, hello, as you normally would. And they didn't answer for a minute straight of me just saying, hello, hello. And I knew it was them. I knew it was them because he had texted me. He was like, hey, can I talk to you? And then they finally answered, and they were like, sorry, we were eating spaghetti. So from the get-go, I was like, yep, these guys are pretty weird.
I was in marching band, and I wanted to do a new instrument, so I played alto sax. And that's where I like kind of met James and a lot of other people who are in this band. It was like sophomore year, and Danny couldn't play a show. James was looking for a guitar player, and I told him he doesn't have to like switch to keys, and I could play keys for that show. He's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And then Danny was actually able to do the show. So we were back up to like having everybody there, and they're like, well, you know, you've already learned all the parts, we could probably use more keys. And at that point, like, I hopped on.
And I knew these guys from high school, and so eventually they needed a bass player, and I said, sure, I'll do it for a little bit, and I was kind of just gonna be a temp, but then I was just stuck around, and so here I am.
I played piano when I was like second grade. My mom got me into like theory and classically trained piano stuff, and I did that for 8 years, and I didn't really like it because I was like 6 or 7 when I started, and I wanted to be doing outdoor stuff, but it paid off in the end. So
when I started learning how to play drums, I kind of just started putting my headphones on and listening to songs. I would just start playing along with songs. I think one of the first songs I learned how to play was Toxicity by System of a Down. So if you can imagine a little third grader trying to play that song, it wasn't good. It was pretty awful, but yeah, that kind of taught me how to play drums.
Bass was like the first thing I really worked on, you know, seriously in any given way. That's when I was like, oh, this is what bass is, this is what bass can do. I actually stopped playing and even basically listening to music for about 8 months when I was like a freshman or sophomore in college. You know, I took that 8 months or whatever, I didn't touch an instrument, I barely listened to anything, and then they hit me up. But, you know, if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I ever would have picked up a bass again in a serious manner, or any instrument for that matter. I would have probably gone somewhere else if it wasn't for the band, and I think for the time being I just needed to be where I was and, you know, kind of maybe where we're going.
I started singing not really on purpose. When I was a kid, learned to play guitar when I was 8 or 9, and I, at a point, just like wanted to learn how to play songs and just started singing them on my own. When I started writing my own songs, like, just was singing them, and then realized like, oh, like I can get better at this, and then over the years just kind of worked on it. Like, it wasn't a specific like, wow, I really want to be a singer. It was kind of just like, I want to be a musician and I want to write songs, so I guess I'm gonna have to sing them if I write them.
I don't know what to do with my arm.
Just rest it on me. There you go.
What were you doing to finger picking?